Just so everybody knows what is going on right now, you're in track two. We're going to start the supply chain session here. In track one, we have the social media session. Now, I'd just like to request all the speakers as well as the moderators to adhere to the timelines as much as possible, only to allow the delegates to shuffle between the two should they need to, so they don't miss out on another session that's already started about 10 minutes ago. So we have about a 5-minute gap between sessions, but let's try to get it running. So we're here for the supply chain session, which will focus on the state of supply chain operations in Indian e-commerce and the key trends in the market. The panel looks at the key challenges in this market, along with the opportunities of the segment, and how you can really work at managing it in an efficient manner. So I'd like to introduce, please, our panelists. The first speaker we have is Manoj Gupta, the CEO and founder of Craftsvilla. Next, we have Ankit Pruthi from UCommerce, Venkat Naut from Vinculum, Ashish Shah, the founder and COO of Pepperfry, Bimal Sachdev from DVS, and Keshav Mehta, who will be our moderator from Chroma. So please welcome with a round of applause your panelists and moderator. We have enough chairs, right? Okay, great. So I'll hand it over to the moderator, Mr. Keshav Mehta from Chroma.
Hi, everyone. We've been talking about from last close to 2 days about marketing in e-commerce. We've been talking about the entire venture capital angle in e-commerce. I think this is a topic which I think we've not touched base in last 2 days. And operations and supply chain is the core integral part of the e-commerce business. And actually that defines the last mile customer experience. So how critical is this? What are the challenges that we face, or rather today the industry is facing in this operations part of e-commerce? And what could be some of the some of the pilots that one needs to look at to solve those challenges is something which we would want to discuss with this panel. We've got some, I would say that, really good entrepreneurs and experts, who has joined in this panel. To start with, I would want to first go straight into how critical is the supply chain and logistics supply chain and logistics operation in Indian e-commerce industry, and what are some of the intrinsic and extrinsic challenges in this side of the function. So, I would want to, ask Ashish to throw some light on that.
Thanks, Kashyap. I'm Ashish. I'm the co-founder and CEO for Pepperfry.com. So, supply chain indeed, is one of the most critical, aspects of an online e-commerce business. It's a function that basically provides a touch and feel to the customer, right? Because when a person buys an item online, he has not seen the item. And supply chain and logistics are the departments which are basically responsible for delivering the touch and feel that a customer wants online. So it is definitely one of the most important aspects of an online business. I also believe, for some of the businesses, which are businesses like, ours, which is more of a marketplace business, supply chain starts from the time, a vendor gets an order. So it is a lot more about, it is also a lot about how a vendor delivers an item. So a lot more about first mile delivery, and it ends at the last mile delivery. We have Manoj over here, who also runs a marketplace, who would want to throw some more light on this. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Manoj, founder and CEO of Craftsvilla.com. Like Ashish said, we are a marketplace, so supply chain actually is very important. So if you look at a supply chain, there's a back-end supply chain which starts from the vendor, and then there's a front-end supply chain which is basically related to dispatch of the product. Now with the supply chain in India, at least, curiously we have payments also linked because of COD. So it actually becomes a very interesting combination that we have two pillars, which is very, very important in e-commerce, which is, logistics and payments, combined together and, becoming very important because of the focus on profitability, which everybody has in e-commerce right now. Fortunately for online marketplace, basically we don't have warehouses of our own, we don't have basically inventory of our own, so we don't have to have WMSs and those kind of stuff. But what we need to have is a very solid technology platform, which basically integrates with the sellers on one side and buyers, which basically couriers on the other side. For at least for Craftsvilla.com, we don't have COD. We have zero COD, so that basically is a sort of a, I would say, a conscious decision which we took that, because of our marketplace model and because of our emphasis on profitability, that we cannot have COD, and that is I would say, we are scaling up, even without COD. So, it's a interesting, I have seen both models. As an investor, I was an investor at Nexus, where I've invested into EAB.com kind of, hardcore inventory models. And then basically I've run my own marketplace. So it's an interesting combination and how industry has evolved, but there's a lot more which needs to happen. And, I think something needs to happen on the technology front.
I think, we all been talking about that last mile delivery, last mile experience to the customer, next day delivery. These are things, which we have been hearing. So we got, a very nice mix over here. We got Ashish and Manoj, for coming from a marketplace kind of a business model, operating in a specific category segment. I myself come from a very inventory heavy based kind of an e-commerce model, working for Chroma and, heading the e-commerce business. So I think it's important that I think we bring out that perspective of, the next day delivery proposition. Is it really that of an importance? If yes, then how does it works in a marketplace model? Can it really work in a marketplace model? What are the challenges in terms of integrating the back-end supply chain, inventory process, vis-a-vis, I would say, an inventory-led kind of a model, which Chroma is into. So if you can throw some light around that.
So let me start by explaining on how the inventory-based model and the marketplace models would be different. Obviously, Kashyap spoke about next day delivery. Next day deliveries can happen only when you are an inventory-based model, right? When you are a marketplace model, next day deliveries are not possible. What we gun for is basically customer promise. So whatever is mentioned on the site is what we deliver to the customer. I would try and explain this through a bell curve. So if you look at some of the categories which are brand new fixed price categories or categories which are standard products, a typical bell curve would be like this, which is very very tall at the center, and the bell curve basically represents all the SKUs that a company would be dealing in when we are talking about brand new and fixed price products. So if you look at the bell curve for standard products, like electronics, standard products like say shoes, standard products like books, etc., the bell curve is pretty tall at the center. So, your 800 to 1000 SKUs kind of define on, would define 80% of the sales that would happen. And therefore, the forecasting of the business is really simple, right? So you can actually focus on those 800 SKUs and ensure that 80% of your business comes from there. When you are talking about marketplace businesses, lifestyle businesses especially, we are talking about a lot of variety and selection. So the same bell curve would be a lot flatter from the center because we are talking about variety and selection, and therefore lot many SKUs is what you are talking about. And therefore, in my belief, a lifestyle business cannot run on an inventory-based model. Because if it is about variety and selection, obviously you cannot forecast, 10,000 SKUs that a person would be buying, a customer would be buying on the site. So for us, we believe that marketplace is the only way to build a lifestyle business. And yeah, so. Yeah.
So I think, one of the very important point that you brought out when you, took up this question is the promise that you make to the customer. Irrespective whether it's a marketplace model or whether it's an inventory-led model. And I think that is what every player should be focusing on. So if you're promising a customer that, hey, you know what, I'm going to deliver you in 5 days, then we better strive to deliver it in 5 days. If you promise that, yes, I'm going to deliver next day, then I think the entire backend has to be tuned, to take that load and still deliver it in a day. The dynamics of marketplace are such that, yes, I agree to a point that since it's a seller-driven model, the turnaround times of achieving next day delivery always becomes very difficult because the back-end sourcing is a big role that plays in that. Vis-a-vis an inventory-led model where, typically you have an inventory in the warehouse and hence you can definitely give some kind of an assurity to the customer.
Yeah, if just to add over there, if you talk about some of the categories, categories like furniture, where Pepperfry has built a big business, we are talking about, say, 2,500 SKUs listed on the site. I can guarantee that no offline store can show 2,500 items, right? So therefore, customers, the offline behavior of buying furniture is also very different. You go to a store, they will show you a catalog, and they will, tell you that the item would be delivered in 15 days. So as long as you are meeting the customer promise, I think customers are willing to wait. As long as you are meeting the promise and delivering the value.
So Ashish, let me put this point in a perspective where what you're trying to bring up over here is maybe an in vogue category, which is typically like more or less equivalent to a commodity products. That's where maybe the next day promise works because that's what is customer expecting from you. Vis-a-vis categories which are typically hard to find products, there maybe the next day promise is not that much of an importance as long as whatever you promise and you deliver it in that promise.
Just to add there, I think it's also important to look at which category has a lot of returns happening. If you're looking at flash deal kind of sites, if you're trying to, there are a lot of returns out there. So it's quite important that we look at the model. This definitely will not work. Cash on delivery as a premise is going to be very, very risky. I see in the crowd one of my ex-customers there, Sanjeev. He can throw light on that. We were talking about 8% of profitability goes off due to returns, is what you were saying, Sanjeev.
Than reacting to it once an order has been placed. So if you go through all the high CACs in getting traffic, converting them, and the payment going through, and then if your inventory isn't managed properly, right from when, be it a marketplace, trusting the seller, or be it an inventory-led model, having the inventory in-house, if you don't trust technology to do it and then try and react through sort of half custom-built in-house models or Excel sheets, then it's probably too late. I'm just a sort of a selfish sales pitch here. Since then, we've heavily relied on technology to build predictive decision-making platform and pricing algorithms for the e-commerce business. I would completely say technology is the way forward.
Sure. So, we were touched based upon, some of these keywords like cash on delivery. And that's an interesting keyword because while yes, it's an incubator for e-commerce industry today, but equally it's also a devil because the entire cash on delivery operation leads into a lot of bleeding on the bottom line. It brings into a lot of returns, which actually blocks the capital investment. So while yes, we are now gradually analyzing that these are pain areas on cash on delivery, but e-commerce industry today is poised at such a situation where you have to still live with that devil. Can you throw some light on that?
Yeah, as I told, COD is zero at Craftsvilla.com, and one of the insights which we got from customers is that that they're actually not interested. The cash is the secondary reason. The primary reason is that the distrust. They believe that what if the product doesn't come? That was the primary reason for which actually they wanted a COD. And then we realized we have to actually make our customer service better and build that trust. I think I think the more the trust the Indian consumer starts trusting the COD as a payment method will start diluting, because a lot of these customers actually have credit cards. They have ability to do net banking, but they don't choose to because they don't have trust. And unfortunately, in India, it takes 5 to 10 years to build a brand. I mean, it takes time. I mean, it is not the e-commerce is not a sprint; it's a marathon. So I think that's what we have to all brace off and basically and then do that. Yeah.
Just to add again, one of the interesting things a retailer has done is to tie up with the local stores, wherein they collect cash upfront with the local kirana stores or the local gift shopping stores kind of thing, where you have a lot of trust, and then use that as a cash upfront model and deliver it through that network. So that basically means, as far as a internet retailer is concerned, he has got cash up front. He's still not doing with credit cards. He's got cash up front. And the trust factor, because you trust the person next door with whom you shop all your life, and delivery is happening through there. So edabba.com, one of the retailers, was recounting their experience on that. So that's an interesting way to handle the trust factor.
So, one of the points that I would want to chip in over here, and which is what we are going to be experimenting in few months from now, we are making ourselves ready for it, is as Manoj, you pointed out that trust is a bigger problem today. And one of the reasons why customer would want to order on cash on delivery is basically to initially make that trial and would want that the product gets delivered at the doorstep and then he gives the payment. So one of the other pilot that can be looked into, and I think some of the players have already adopted it, is something called as an payment on delivery, where when the delivery boy goes to deliver the product, he also goes with a credit card swiping machine, and that's actually integrated on the back end with the entire tracking system. So when a customer receives the product, there and there he would take the credit card of the customer, swipe it there and there itself, and the entire delivery tracking process then further gets integrated to the back end. I think which is called as a mobile POS, and I think that's something which is evolving, and it would be worthwhile that e-commerce player also starts experimenting that. But yeah, to answer that, yes, cash on delivery still remains a devil. It's very specific to a play of category, and there's another angle which maybe you can Ashish can bring in terms of categories like furniture, which are
yeah, but just to set some context here, when you are a lifestyle horizontal, so like we offer cash on delivery on the site. Some of the categories like furniture, jewelry, etc. are obviously made to order items, and therefore cash on delivery is not allowed on that. We also believe that cash on delivery is definitely an enabler. So till the time a person has not done the first transaction on your site, cash on delivery could be offered. So cash on delivery could be a good acquisition tool when you are trying to grow your customer base. So for categories like clothing, categories like beauty, some of the health products, etc., cash on delivery definitely makes sense. Having said that, having some a carrot and stick approach, so to say, so things like not offering cash on delivery on some of the so basically offering cash on delivery only on whitelisted pin codes, not offering it for more than say 5,000 rupees of transactions, etc. There could be a velocity check. So you can actually build some of these filters to ensure that the service is not misused. And at the same time, if you are running say promos, discounts, coupons, etc., not allowing such coupons, etc., on cash on delivery is basically a carrot for the customer. So I think it has to be balanced. Especially for a lifestyle horizontal, it is very important to offer cash on delivery. But I would say it is more an acquisition tool than a tool for getting the repeat customers back on the site.
So should you charge for cash on delivery?
We don't charge for cash on delivery.
I'm asking, should you charge for cash on delivery?
So if you look at it this way,
like when you buy a movie ticket on aggregation sites like Book My Show, they very smartly put down over there that there's a convenience charge of 20 rupees. So this is again a convenience charge, correct? Because it's a convenience, is a service that you're offering to the customer.
Yeah. So as I said, if you are delivering value, on the balance of the product. So say, on the website, if you allow any kind of discounts, coupons, etc., only for online payments, you are kind of incentivizing that sale, right? So therefore, we believe that, if a customer is buying COD, obviously he's not able to get those discounts, deals, etc., on the site, and therefore, it is more a charge to him because he is going to buy that item full price. So I think all of those costs would be recovered if the customer is buying items full price. So therefore, no charge for cash on delivery on Pepperfry.
The caveat, of course, is that you might be increasing the risk of him returning it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's a much beautiful, more elegant way to
Yeah.
remove the promotions out.
Absolutely.
But there's no right or wrong answer. You have to try it to realize whether it works or doesn't work.
So, moving ahead, I think other than cash on delivery, I think, reverse logistics still remains a far more bigger pain area. And there is no yet set solution around it. So there are, specifically e-commerce players who are heavily dependent on third-party logistics for their delivery network. Vis-a-vis someone, who's setting up their own delivery network, which we have seen already in case of Flipkart. Reverse logistics remains a pain when e-commerce player works with a third-party logistics. Bimal, if you can share some insights out.
Probably on this topic, Venkat, why don't you start?
Yeah, but I think essentially there are two aspects to it, I guess. The easier problem, or there are solutions out there where you can handle it from a systemic solution there, in terms of the technology is there to integrate to the courier companies to make sure that the process works. So in fact, we have a product suite also which caters to reverse logistics for an e-commerce player specifically. But the bigger challenge is the operational losses that you go through and the pain of implementing it. So I think there is not many answers to it today, and some categories suffer more than the others. So I guess we should possibly ask your expert from a marketplace. I guess you don't see too much of it.
So reverse logistics, returns, etc., would happen, irrespective of whether the business is a marketplace business or an inventory-based business. Reverse logistics is definitely a problem. Operationally, I think, one of the ways that we have figured to solve the problem. So before reverse logistics, I think the biggest, challenge in the industry is that all of the national players, 3PLs, are used to only handling, documents till now. And, the challenge actually starts from there because, if the document is not delivered, they will put it in the Dropbox and come back, right? But if you're carrying a parcel, obviously you have to figure out on, where to deliver that parcel, whether to give it to the watchman or to the neighbor. So the problem starts from there. And, so we are not able to find solution with the national players, as of now, but we have seen some of the intra-city emerging players. So what we have done, for our business is that we have done some, local tie-ups, where, for large items like furniture, we actually tell them to, take the item from the customer and, if there is a damage and basically break it and, basically auction it off because, getting furniture back to our warehouse would also, cost us like 10,000 bucks, right? So I think the answer operationally is basically local tie-ups, at least in the top 7-9 cities where you tie up with a transport agency and basically get your items back. So that's the only, solution that we have, figured till now.
I'll pitch in a little bit, on a different note. I heard you saying about mobile POS and certain other innovations happening around technology, which can contribute significantly in certain areas, whether we talk of, items getting damaged, customer not being available there for delivery, whenever it has been scheduled and all. If we look at, the handheld device-based technology integration with whatever backend systems or third-party logistics or the partners who are suppliers to the e-commerce players or marketplaces, if those integration possibilities are increased, I personally believe, which we have seen in customer interactions, that this can significantly reduce certain challenges which are being faced today. Having said that, I also want to say that it's something which is yet to be tried out in that model way. However, from the mobility perspective, if you have handheld device which is tracking what time the product has been delivered, who received it from customer's end, and what was the comment, if you can capture those feedbacks, how was the first experience from the touch point perspective and measure it from the customer feel perspective. Maybe you have some loyalty, the price points, the feel good factor. Pass on this intelligence and information to your suppliers for them to look at whether they need to replenish the material and start working on those engines so that your own time or scale or from the time CFO. I liked your statement or sharing which you said. CFO definitely looks at when I'm getting a purchase order moving out of system or company or from my own signatures, there's definitely a value attached to it, irrespective of what could be the payment terms. But it's going from your own brand, from your own logo. So ultimately inventory is going to get piled on somewhere else. Is it really getting optimized or it's being ordered little before or after schedule? These are some other open areas which I believe if we look at integration touch point, coming at different most important levels, this could probably reduce some of the challenges which we are talking today sitting on this forum or in this room. It could be next levels which we have to address.
So I've seen globally that there are specific models which you would find it in Western market, typically like some of the specialized service provider who only handles reverse logistics for e-commerce companies. One of the example is of FedEx. Now FedEx has been a preferred partner with Amazon for handling all Amazon deliveries. And one of the things that FedEx has done over there is they have placed reverse pickup kiosk at various locations where in case if a customer wants to return back the product, the moment he logs in a return request, he can visit the nearest kiosk of FedEx and drop the shipment out over there, and FedEx then would act on the reverse logistics and deliver it back to Amazon's warehouse. So this is a model which is there. There are also separately specialized reverse logistics companies, who offers those services to e-commerce players in Western market. I think the time has come, I think the need has come that there is a gap over there, and that actually brings an opportunity if someone wants to venture into, a new business which works towards reverse logistics. And that can also bring in a good solution for e-commerce players. We move to the next piece, which is we've been talking about technology platform. And there is definitely a critical element of technology and platform that plays a big role in handling a seamless operation for e-commerce business. So Ankit, what according to you do you think that how the platform integration needs to be managed, for a seamless operation in e-commerce?
Yeah, so there are different technology modules, I would say, which are relevant for our e-commerce environment. Those are order management system, you have your inventory management system, warehousing system, and then you have a shipping module, and you have a customer support module. Now, all these systems need to talk to each other, and there is no doubt about it, no second thoughts on it, simply because if I have to answer a simple question from my consumer, that when, let's say my customer calls up and he asks me, when will my shipment be delivered? So if I have to answer this question, I need to know where his order, which state his order is in right now. Now, it might be in a procurement state with the WMS, or it might be on a hold or verification state with the CRM, or it might be in with my courier partner, which is again integrated with my shipping module. So to answer this very basic question, I am quite sure that you need to have a total integrated environment, or even for a simple request of cancellation or let's say reverse pickup. So all those things you can do in a real time only when you have a integrated module. Let's say many companies in India, many e-commerce companies in India have tried to use, in India and across globe have tried Amazon as a influencer, has been an influencer to all these companies. However, if we look at Amazon, it gives you an option to to cancel an order online. I'm sure if that is to be implemented by any of the e-commerce companies in India, it will be a tough task because all the pieces are not integrated. And similarly, you can create a reverse pickup on Amazon online. And there are things which right now the Indian industry is not in shape to I would say do give a cancellation upfront because they already are seeing high returns and high cancellation rates. But again, you should have such a system which is highly integrated and is real-time update of information is happening across the system. And the customer is also updated at real time.
So, while, yes, I think, some of us who are sitting here, we all know that, yes, all the systems as what Ankit is talking about is, whereas warehouse management, inventory management needs to be integrated. Why is it that, still e-commerce players have not been pretty much successful, on this side in terms of, having a seamless technology integration? And why is it that, do you think that there are gaps, when it comes to consumer experience on last mile delivery?
My answer to that would be the development of modules or the software inside e-commerce company is greatly influenced by different teams, right? So if I just think from a perspective of a consumer to deliver a simple cancellation upfront on the website, if I think from this perspective, then I'll get all the answers to how the system should be integrated with it. But I think the thought process behind building a system has not been like that. It's more driven through requirements which are coming from different teams working in different departments and are not working on their own different processes, I would say.
So, do you think that, the third-party logistics systems which are there, they've got enough well-tuned technology backbone in place, and that is working seamlessly? Could there be a leakage out over there?
No, definitely third-party logistic technology, there is a big component, big improvement that needs to be done with most of the 3PL providers, I would say. If I have to take some examples, I can take the example of reverse logistics. So there are, if I have to create a reverse pickup, there is no automated way to do that. So ideally, there should be a way wherein a consumer can log in and it creates a reverse pickup in my system, and I should automatically through an API create a reverse pickup in 3PL system. Right now, how it's being done, the information is exchanged over an email and or a attachment in an email, and then do the tracking of those things or updating the information of tracking number into the system manually. So again, it leads to delays, it leads to dissatisfaction of the customer who already is suffering from one of already dissatisfied because he is doing the reverse pickup. So their systems also lag on multiple fronts, I would say, but that shouldn't stop you from implementing something. So there are a couple of good providers who give you detailed statuses of their shipments. If I take the example of, let's say you are getting a return. So there are shipping providers in India which give you status like customer not available, or customer address incorrect, or payment was not ready. So all those such scenarios can be corrected in real time. If the information flow through the 3PL system to your system, you can generate an automated call and capture the right address or tell the customer to do to get the payment ready. So all such things which constitute most of the RTO cases can be rectified in real time. So this initiative can at least be taken right now by the e-commerce companies. And meanwhile, we are seeing improvements in 3PL partners. And as they improve, obviously your technology will also improve.
Bimal, you had something to say over there.
I just wanted to add on the earlier point which you talked about. See, if we look at the web-based business which is called as e-commerce here, I think somewhere the overall concept started from the web, then it's going down towards what are the needs of supply chain, etc. It's not something which has gone from grounds to up as complete end-to-end system. It started, okay, let me get customer, hit my website, let me sell that, and then all these challenges have been coming. That's where we see, service providers or IT companies like us offering those modules and integration pieces available and make sure that there is a seamless experience. If I go reverse, where we have few clients who have been on the grounds doing the physical retailing, and then they have taken the system up, there is a seamless integration which is already there. I'm talking reverse here. So they have seen that seamless integration where if customer has to return any good, they have two choices. Either they get it picked up or you walk up to nearby store and then return it. And those known models which are feasible, supply chain issues have been less. So I believe while we all have been talking on e-commerce platform opportunity, there are definitely needs to integrate with your vendors who are partners with you. Their systems should have some kind of intelligence from the providers of platforms, sales perspective, what line items are getting out of stock, what needs to be replenished. I'll use that word again. What is the time period made to order, as you said? How much time does it take? Can we speed it up? Can we, give some trigger to customer in real-time environment before schedule your material is getting ready, etc. And then look into how do we handle the supply chain as through movement and touch each point in terms of informing the status till drive that, on the final receiving of the customer acknowledgement. There is a definite need as technology guy, I would say. Not because of business, otherwise from the overall operation control perspective.
So with this, actually we would want to open a Q&A session. We've got flat 1 minute, so we can, I think, maybe able to take 3 questions. So we open it up for Q&A. Yeah?
What is the best and cheapest logistics service for you?
Okay, now, so this is a difficult one to answer, in fact, because it purely depends on your own negotiation skills.
I would say Speed Post is the cheapest, and actually is not bad, frankly speaking. So a lot of our sellers actually use Speed Post, and initially we thought, what is Speed Post? Why are these using it? But we realized that actually a lot of customers did not have problems with Speed Post, and we also tried Speed Post for international, but there we had issues, so we stopped it. But for domestic, a lot of our actually sellers use Speed Post, and it's actually cheapest.
Yeah, just to answer that, so, a bit differently. So, if you look at some of the, intra-city partners today, they actually specialize in e-commerce businesses, e-commerce deliveries. We have had like really good experience with some of the folks, in Delhi, at least in the top 7 cities. Their fees, etc., is also, charge basis, the success that they get. So they are kind of partnering with you. One of the things that we have tried, for example, is, basically distributing the products, or basically consolidating products at a location and then distribute through these intra-city partners. So you get all of your load from Delhi to Mumbai for Mumbai customers and then distribute. It not only saves money, but also, gets you a real-time information on whether the items are delivered or not. And intra-city, again, works out to be much cheaper than intercity transportation.
And just the caveat on Speed Post, of course, is you don't know whether the deliveries are happening, when they are happening. So it depends on the category what you're doing as well. So if it is a low involvement purchase, it's okay, where SLAs are not necessarily the most stringent. Otherwise, I think the last mile customer experience can be terrible if it doesn't happen. Is that a fair statement, sir?
Actually, a lot of our sellers, our average order value is like over 1,000 rupees, close to like 1,500 rupees. So the value of the product actually is significant in rupees. The thing is, as we were discussing, the next day delivery. In my view, Indian customers are actually not looking for next day delivery. I think this is sort of a myth we have taken from maybe Amazon in US and those kind of stuff. Indian customers are looking for delivery. They're looking for that I order and I get delivered. It can take 5 days, 7 days. You promise me, we promise within 10 days your product will come in India. And as long as you stick with 10 days, they're fine. So Speed Post in that way, from delivery perspective is fine. We are looking at Indian products more, sort of, hard to find products. So the customers are, a little bit more, okay in waiting kind of stuff. So maybe different from branded products kind of stuff, but that has been our experience.
Fine, so we end the session here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.